And I think but what has happened is in the last एक साल में अगर बात करें तो हम थोड़ा सा ना the whole startup ecosystem has collapsed a bit, and maybe not collapse might be a very extreme term for it, but एक downturn में है, and the returns have also deteriorated मतलब simultaneously for funds and all. So how do you see the current downturn? How is it different? कब देखते हो आप? When will this revive?
Yeah, honestly, nobody will ever have the right answer for this, right? So I can only predict. But see, we don't read too much into these things because of you can call our age and vintage of doing this. We have seen multiple cycles like these before as well, right? However, there is a little bit of fundamental difference in this cycle, which will always continue to be. I think every new cycle will have its own new story. It will always also look like, okay, this is probably what we have never seen before. That, like, I can tell you across hundreds of years, every time there is a down cycle comes in any sector or in the overall economy sometimes as a whole, it will always, the last one will always look like the worst, right? And it will feel like, okay, this will probably never end, right? But what continues to remain the same is this is all because of movement of capital, right? Sometimes there's a lot, too much capital comes into a space. And when I say venture capital as a space, right? Because there is always an allocation of capital from large pools of capital that goes across various industries. Sometimes it is climate, sometimes it is private equity, sometimes it is venture capital, sometimes it is real estate, right? When there's a little bit of too much capital comes into a space, in our case it was venture capital, at 2020 to 2022, we saw hundreds of $billions of capital coming into startup as a space into funds, and from funds into startups. Naturally, it was overheated, right? Are we saying that in next 4 to 5 years, this will continue to go down and we'll stop seeing startups coming out of India or world? Obviously not, right? But because the cliff was too steep, I would say in 2021, like the valuations went a little too up compared to any of the previous cycles, the fall will also be a little bit steeper. Right? Instead of recovery happening in 6 to 9 months, it probably could take 1 to 2 years, right? But the good part is, I think we are as a ecosystem, we are now more than a decade old, right? So a lot of founders and investors have a lot more experience on dealing with these situations, right? If it's a startup was burning too much cash a year back, can you get back to profitability? That template is a little bit more well understood now compared to what it was 6 years back. Thankfully, a lot more startups have raised a lot more money in the last 2 years. So a lot of startups are sitting on a lot of cash. They have a lot of time to maneuver through this period, grow into their valuation. And it's a matter of time here. We're all living in an extremely capitalistic society. So I think capital pools will keep exchanging hands, will keep coming back. And there are extremely sharp minds running this industry. They'll always find a way to kind of getting a lot more capital back to the ecosystem and putting it to the right use. So I think we are not too worried about it. It's a matter of 9 months, 12 months. We see a lot more capital coming in, and then there's all that capital will look at that capital and coming and follow up. So not too worried about it.